Welcome to JMJC Radio. I am your host, Jeremy Chaput. This is my weekly news podcast for the world of sports that will be available every Wednesday at 8 a.m. EST. This podcast will be broken up into multiple episodes each week. That way, you guys can either listen to my entire podcast or you guys can pick and choose the parts you guys want to listen to. This first part will be news. In NFL news, six-time Pro Bowl cornerback Darius Slay has announced his retirement after 13 seasons. The San Francisco 49ers are signing wide receivers Christian Kirk to a one-year $6 million deal. The Philadelphia Eagles signed former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown to a one-year up to $6.5 million deal. The Miami Dolphins are trading wide receiver Jalen Waddell and the fourth-round pick to the Denver Broncos for a first, third, and fourth-round pick. The Houston Texans and former Cleveland Browns guard Wyatt Teller have agreed to a two-year $60 million contract that has a maximum value of $23 million. The Carolina Panthers are trading veteran quarterback Andy Dalton to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a 2027 seventh-round pick. Veteran quarterback Carson Wentz has agreed to return to the Minnesota Vikings in 2026. The Philadelphia Eagles have traded safety Sidney Brown and overall picks number 122 and 215 in the 2026 NFL Draft to the Atlanta Falcons in exchange for overall picks number 114 and 197. Wide receiver DJ Chark has announced his retirement after 7 seasons. The Seattle Seahawks have signed reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year Jackson Smith and Jib to a 4-year, $168.6 million extension. Veteran linebacker Lavonte David has announced his retirement, ending a 14-year career spent entirely with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Cincinnati Bengals and quarterback Joe Flacco have agreed to a one-year deal worth $6 million and can reach up to $9 million with incentives. And finally, the New Orleans Saints are signing quarterback Zach Wilson to a one-year deal. Moving over to NBA news. The Houston Rockets forward Kevin Durant passed Michael Jordan for 5th overall on the NBA's all-time regular season scoring leaderboard in Saturday's 122 win over the Miami Heat. Minnesota Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards will miss 1 to 2 weeks with right knee inflammation before being re-evaluated. Detroit Pistons star Cade Cunningham will be re-evaluated in 2 weeks after being diagnosed with a left lung pneumothorax. Philadelphia 76ers center Andre Drummond has been fined $25,000 for what the league described as an objectionable gesture while on the court. Wizards point guard Trae Young is dealing with a pair of injuries and is out indefinitely. Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs has been fined $25,000 for throwing his mouthpiece in the direction of the stands. Stephen Curry will begin practicing in full team practices in the coming days as he works back from a right knee injury that forced the Golden State Warriors star to miss his 21st straight game Saturday. LA Lakers icon LeBron James added yet another record to his long list of NBA accolades. James surpassed former Boston Celtics center Robert Parrish for most regular season games played in NBA history in Saturday's game against the Orlando Magic. And finally, Golden State Warriors guard Moses Moody will miss the remainder of the season after a gruesome left knee injury that will require surgery later this week. In the NHL news, Anton Frondell, the number 3 overall pick in the 2025 draft, is expected to make his NHL debut with the Chicago Blackhawks this week. Washington Capitals superstar Alex Ovechkin became the second player ever to score 1,000 career goals in regular season and playoffs combined. The NHL's Department of Player Safety suspended Florida Panthers forward A.J. Greer 3 games for boarding Calgary Flames forward Connor Zary. Calgary, Edmonton, and Prague are the host cities for the 2028 World Cup of Hockey. The New York Islanders signed forward Cole Eiserman to a 3-year entry-level contract. The New York Islanders plan on moving their AHL affiliate from Bridgeport, Connecticut to Hamilton, Ontario for next season. Toronto Maple Leafs captain Austin Matthews had surgery Thursday in New York to repair his torn medial collateral ligament in his left knee. The team said he's expected to need about 12 weeks of recovery time. The 2026 NHL Draft Lottery is scheduled for May 5th. The NHL will be returning to Helsinki, Finland next season when the Carolina Hurricanes and Seattle Kraken play 2 regular season games in the 2026 NHL Global Series Finland. The games will be played at Vikis Arena on November 12th and November 14th. And finally, in MLB news, the Philadelphia Phillies restructured star left-hander Christopher Sanchez's contract, ripping up his original deal to give him a new extension in an unusual move. Sanchez, who had been under contract through 2028, signed a new 6-year extension with the Phillies that kicks in next season. His revised deal, which also includes a club option in 2033, is worth $107 million in guaranteed money. It also includes more than $13 million in performance incentives. The Washington Nationals picked up infielder Jorbit Vivas in a trade that sent minor league pitcher Sean Paul Linen to the New York Yankees. Los Angeles Angels right-hander Grayson Rodriguez, who missed the 2025 season due to an injury, will start his 2026 season on the IR. Gavin Lux's debut with the Tampa Bay Rays is going to have to wait. The club is placing the veteran infielder on injured reserve with a right shoulder impingement. The move means Richard Palacios will make the opening day roster for Tampa Bay. The Toronto Blue Jays locked in their leadership group Monday by extending manager John Schneider and general manager Ross Atkins. Schneider's new deal runs through 2028, while Atkins covers 2031. Atlanta Braves right-hander Spencer Strider will start the season on IR because of a strained oblique. San Diego Padres right-hander Joe Musgrove will probably begin the 2026 campaign on the IR after missing all of last season recovering from Tommy John surgery. Philadelphia Phillies outfielder Johan Rojas was suspended for the first 80 games of the season by MLB on Monday following a positive test for a performance-enhancing substance. The Toronto Blue Jays are opening a Hall of Excellence in August, and former player, manager, and broadcaster Buck Martinez will be the newest inductee. Atlanta Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar will miss the 2026 season and postseason after his appeal of a 162-game suspension by the MLB for a second failed drug test was resolved. Toronto Blue Jays right-hander Trey Yesavage will begin the 2026 campaign on the IR with a shoulder impingement. San Francisco's Giant pitcher Hayden Birdsong will undergo Tommy John surgery and miss the 2026 season. Arizona Diamondbacks right-hander Merlin Kelly will begin the season on IR. And finally, Pete Crow Armstrong has secured a historic contract extension. The Chicago Cubs and the All-Star outfielder agreed to a 6-year, $115 million deal that starts in 2027. We now move over to sports action. Yesterday in NBA action, the Denver Nuggets beat the Phoenix Suns 125-123. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Orlando Magic 125-123. The New York Knicks beat the New Orleans Pelicans 121 to 116, and the Charlotte Hornets beat the Sacramento Kings 134 to 90. Today in NBA action, the Chicago Bulls play the Philadelphia 76ers, the Atlanta Hawks play the Detroit Pistons, and the LA Lakers play the Indiana Pacers, with all three of those games starting at 7 p.m. The Miami Heat play the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Oklahoma City Thunder play the Boston Celtics. Both those games start at 7:30 p.m. The San Antonio Spurs play the Memphis Grizzlies at 8 p.m. The Washington Wizards play the Utah Jazz at 9 p.m. and the Houston Rockets play the Minnesota Timberwolves at 9:30 p.m. The Milwaukee Bucks play the Portland Trail Blazers, the Dallas Mavericks play the Denver Nuggets, and the Brooklyn Nets play the Golden State Warriors, with all three of those games starting at 10 p.m. And finally, the Toronto Raptors play the LA Clippers at 10:30 p.m. Yesterday in NHL action, the Anaheim Ducks beat the Vancouver Canucks 5-3. The Oilers beat the Mammoth 5-2. The Flames beat the Kings 3-2 in a shootout. The St. Louis Blues beat the Washington Capitals 3-0. The Predators beat the Sharks 6-3. The Devils beat the Stars 6-4. The Jets beat the Golden Knights 4-1. The Lightning beat the Wild 6-3. The Avalanche beat the Penguins 6-2. The Leafs unfortunately beat the Bruins 4-2. The Panthers beat the Kraken 5-4 in a shootout. The Canadiens beat the Hurricanes 5-2. The Senators beat the Red Wings 3-2. The Jackets beat the Flyers 3-2, and the Chicago Blackhawks beat the New York Islanders 4-3. Today in NHL action, the Boston Bruins play the Buffalo Sabres, and the New York Rangers are going to beat, hopefully, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Both those games start at 7:30 p.m. And finally, today to open the regular season in MLB action, the New York Yankees play the San Francisco Giants at 8:05 p.m. We now move over to sports standings. First to the NBA. In the Eastern Conference, in first, the Detroit Pistons with a 52-19 record and a 4-game winning streak. In second, the Boston Celtics, a 47-24 record with a 1-game losing streak. In third, the New York Knicks with a 48-25 record and a 7-game winning streak. In fourth, the Cleveland Cavaliers with a 45-27 record and a 4-game winning streak. In fifth, the Toronto Raptors with a 40-31 record, 1-game winning streak. In sixth, the Atlanta Hawks 40-32 record, 2-game winning streak. In seventh, the Philadelphia 76ers 39-33 record, 1-game losing streak. In eighth, the Orlando Magic 38-34 record, 6-game losing streak. In ninth, the Charlotte Hornets 38-34 record, 4-game winning streak. And rounding out the top 10, the Miami Heat 38-34 record, 5-game losing streak. In 11th, the Milwaukee Bucks 29-42 record, 1-game losing streak. In 12th, the Chicago Bulls 29-42 record, 1-game winning streak. In 13th, the Brooklyn Nets 17-55 with an 8-game losing streak. In 14th, the Washington Wizards 16-55 record with a 16-game losing streak. I would hate to be Washington Wizards right now. And finally, in 15th, the Indiana Pacers 16-56 record, snapping their 16-game losing streak to go on a 1-game winning streak so far. Moving over to the Western Conference, in first, the Oklahoma City Thunder 56-12 record, pulling the exact opposite of the Washington Wizards and having a 12-game winning streak. In second, the San Antonio Spurs 53-18 record, 6-game winning streak. In third, the LA Lakers 46-25 record, 1-game losing streak. In fourth, the Denver Nuggets 44-28 record, 3-game winning streak. In fifth, the Minnesota Timberwolves 44-28 record, 1-game winning streak. In sixth, the Houston Rockets 43-27 record, 1-game losing streak. In 7th, the Phoenix Suns 40-32 record, 1-game losing streak. In 8th, the LA Clippers 35-36 record, 2-game winning streak. In 9th, the Portland Trail Blazers 35-37 record, 1-game winning streak. And rounding out the top 10, the Golden State Warriors, a 33-38 record with a 1-game winning streak. In 11th, the New Orleans Pelicans 25-47 record, 2-game losing streak. In 12th, the Memphis Grizzlies 24-46 record, 3-game losing streak. In 13th, the Dallas Mavericks 23-48 record, 4-game losing streak. 14th, the Utah Jazz 21-50 record, 2-game losing streak. And 15th, the Sacramento Kings 19-53 record. Now, the Sacramento Kings may be doing just as bad as the Indiana Pacers, or just as bad as the Washington Wizards, I should say. But hey, at least they're not on a 16-game losing streak like Washington is right now. Again, let me just say, I would hate to be the Washington Wizards on a 16-game losing streak. Moving over to NHL standings, we have first the Metropolitan. In first, the Carolina Hurricanes, 45-26 record, 96 points, 1-game losing streak. In second, the Columbus Blue Jackets, 38-22, 11 record, 87 points, 1-game winning streak. In third, the Pittsburgh Penguins, 35-20, 16 record, 86 points, 2-game losing streak. In fourth, the New York Islanders, 40-27, 5 record, 85 points, 1-game losing streak. In fifth, the Philadelphia Phillies. Sorry, I was thinking baseball. The Philadelphia Flyers, 34-24, 12 record, 80 points, 1-game losing streak. In sixth, the Washington Capitals, 35-28, 9 record, 79 points, 2-game losing streak. In seventh, the New Jersey Devils, 36-32, 2 record, 74 points, 1-game winning streak. And in eighth, the New York Rangers, 28-34, 9 record, 65 points, 5-game losing streak. Moving over to the Atlantic Division. In first, the Buffalo Sabres, 44-27 record, 95 points, 1-game losing streak. In second, the Tampa Bay Lightning, 44-21, 5 record, 93 points, 1-game winning streak. In third, the Montreal Canadiens, 39-21, 10 record, 88 points, 2-game winning streak. In fourth, the Boston Bruins, 39-24, 8 record, 86 points, 1-game losing streak. In fifth, the Ottawa Senators, 38-24, 9 record, 85 points, 4-game winning streak. In sixth, the Detroit Red Wings, 38-25, 8 record, 84 points, 2-game losing streak. In seventh, which surprises me, the Florida Panthers, 35-32, 3 record, 73 points, 1-game winning streak. Why does that surprise me? Because they are the reigning, if I'm not mistaken, reigning back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, and now this season they're in 7th place in the Atlantic. And finally, in 8th place in the Atlantic Division, where they rightfully belong because they're so shit this year, the Toronto Maple Leafs, 30-29, 13 record, 73 points, 1-game winning streak. They can't even tank right. Moving over to the Central Division. In first, we have the Colorado Avalanche, 47-13, 10 record, 104 points, 3-game winning streak. They are the first team to reach 100 points, by the way, folks. In second, the Dallas Stars, 43-17, 11 record, 97 points, 3-game losing streak. In third, the Minnesota Wild, 40-20, 12 record, 92 points, 1-game losing streak. In fourth, the Utah Mammoth, 37-29, 6 record, 80 points, 1-game losing streak. In fifth, the Nashville Predators, 34-28, 9 record, 77 points, 5-game winning streak. In 6th, the Winnipeg Jets, 30-29, 12 record, 72 points, 2-game winning streak. In 7th, the St. Louis Blues, 29-30, 11 record, 69 points, 2-game winning streak. And in 8th, the Chicago Blackhawks, 27-31, 13 record, 67 points, 1-game winning streak. Finally, in the Pacific Division, in first, the Anaheim Ducks, 40-27, 4 record, 84 points, 3-game winning streak. In second, the Edmonton Oilers, 35-18, 9 record, 79 points, 1-game winning streak. In third, the Vegas Golden Knights, 32-26, 14 record, 78 points, 1-game losing streak. In fourth, the LA Kings, 28-25, 18 record, 74 points, 4-game losing streak. In fifth, the Seattle Kraken, 31-29, 10 record, 72 points, 4-game losing streak. In sixth, the San Jose Sharks, 32-31, 6 record, 70 points, 5-game losing streak. In seventh, the Calgary Flames, 30-34 and 7 record, 67 points, 4-game winning streak. And in eighth, the Vancouver Canucks, 21-41 and 8 record, 50 points, 3-game losing streak. Now, I don't know if you guys realize something or not. Canada has 7 NHL teams. Let's go back and look where they currently sit. Third place, the Third place in the Atlantic, the Montreal Canadiens. Fifth place in the Atlantic, the Ottawa Senators. And 8th place in the Atlantic, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Out of those 3 Canadian teams right there, Montreal is the only team that has a chance to make the playoffs right now. Potentially to make the playoffs right now. In the Pacific Division, though, the Edmonton Oilers are in second, the Calgary Flames are in 7th, and the Vancouver Canucks are in 8th. Edmonton is the only other Canadian team that may make the playoffs because, and I skipped over them because I'm stupid. And I just realized it is 7, and I was correct to begin with. The Winnipeg Jets currently sit 6th in the Central Division. So, out of 7 Canadian NHL teams, I think 5 of them made the playoffs not this season, but last season. Only 2 potentially make it this season. Edmonton for sure makes it because, of course, it's the Edmonton Oilers. They're going to end up going to the Stanley Cup Finals and losing in Game 7 yet again. And possibly the Montreal Canadiens. And being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I don't want to say this. Please, for the love of God, Edmonton, win the Stanley Cup. Do not let Montreal win the Stanley Cup, because if Montreal wins the Stanley Cup, their fans are never going to let Toronto Maple Leafs fans live down the fact that they won another Stanley Cup before Toronto did. And now on to the world of wrestling. On March 14th, during MLW Fusion, Matt Riddle beat Chevrolet, Paul Waterhauser beat Bryce Cannon, Zamaya beat Priscilla Kelly, Carl Anderson beat Donovan Dijak, LeBron Colzone beat Alan Angels, Trevor Lee won the MLW Southern Crown title bunkhouse stampede match to be crowned the new MLW Southern Crown champion. Titan beat Magnus. LeBron Colzone beat Akamura. The Good Brothers beat the Contra Unit by DQ. Austin Aries beat Diego Hill to retain the MLW National Openweight Championship. Shotzi Blackheart beat Kira to retain the MLW Women's World Featherweight title. And Alex Hammerstone beat Matt Riddle. March 15th at Game Changer Wrestling So Much Fun 2026. Marcus Mathers beat Ryan O'Neal. Joey Janela beat Mr. Danger. Buster and the Brain, consisting of Alex Price and Oliver, beat John Wayne Murdoch and Vipers to retain the GCW Tag Team Championships. Bear Bronson beat Beastman, Connor Claxton, and Dr. Redacted in a four-way death match. And Bussy, the tag team of Ali Catch and Effie, faced unsigned and Don't Care, the tag team of Anakin, Murphy, and Gary J. That match ended in a no contest. Coming up on March 27th at TNA Sacrifice, Elena Black will face Mara Slade in a no disqualification match. Eddie Edwards will face Moose. Jada Stone and Trey Miguel will face Order 4 in a mixed tag team match. Elijah and the Hometown Man will face AJ Francis and Frankie Kazarian. Ariana Grace will defend her TNA Knockouts World Championship against Danny Luna and Lei Ying Lee. Leon Slater will defend his TNA X Division Championship against Eric Young, and Mike Santana will defend his TNA World Championship against Steve Macklin. Finally, to my favorite segment that I will be doing until the end of the playoffs, a look at the Basketball Super League. For those of you who don't know, the Basketball Super League, or the BSL as I will call it from now on, is a professional basketball league in Canada and the United States that was formed in 2023. There are 5 teams in the league this year: the KW Titans, the Montreal Tundra, the Windsor Express, the Lake Erie Jackals, and my hometown team, the Sudbury 5, who are the reigning BSL champions. It should be noted that there is currently 3 days left in this season. March 26th, the Montreal Tundra will play the Sudbury 5, and the KW Titans will play the Kokomo Bobcats of the Basketball League. March 28th, the Windsor Express play the KW Titans, and the Montreal Tundra play the Sudbury 5. And on the 29th, the KW Titans play the Sudbury 5, and the Lake Erie Jackals play the Windsor Express. We will first take a look at the standings. In first place, we have the KW Titans with a 17-7 record. In second, we have the Sudbury 5 with a 15-8 record. In third, we have the Montreal Tundra with a 15-9 record. In fourth, the Windsor Express with a 13-11 record. And in fifth, the Lake Erie Jackals with a 6-19 record. Let's take a look at the stats for Sudbury. As I said, they are currently sitting in second place with a 15-8 record. They have a record of 9-2 at home and a record of 6-6 on the road. Currently, top 3 in minutes, we have Dwayne Notice with 872 minutes. In second, my boy Charlie Marquardt with 866 minutes. And in third, the big fella, a.k.a. Alex Kotov, with 757 minutes. Top 3 in 3-point percentage, we have in first, my boy Charlie Marquardt with 44.5. In second, Antonio Davis Jr. with 41.3. And in third, Alan Billinger with 37.5. Top 3 in points. In first, again, is my boy Charlie Marquardt with 490 points. In second, Dwayne Notice with 380. And in third, Alex Kotov, the big fella, with 368. Top 3 in rebounds. We have the big fella, a.k.a. Alex Koltov, with 157 rebounds. In second, we have Dwayne Notice with 127. And in third, we have Bullet Devontae Jameson with 105. Top 3 in assists. In first, we have Dwayne Notice with 104. In second, Bullet Devontae Jameson with 83. And in third, Alan Billinger with 57. And top 3 in steals. In first, we have Bullet Devontae Jameson with 30. In second, my boy Charlie Marquardt with 26. And also with 26, we have Dwayne Notice. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you for listening. This has been JMJC Radio with your host, Jeremy Shapert. And as my 3 sayings always go, always shoot your shot before it's too late. Never take your partner for granted because they can leave you in the blink of an eye. And always tell your loved ones you love them because you never know how much time you have left with them. Goodbye, everyone. Talk to you next time.